We're floating like butterflies and stinging like bees. Rumble, you badass jet pilots, rumble. Welcome to the Wingman Show. I'm Drew Brown. We're here to inspire, entertain, and learn so we can all grow. Happiness and serenity are the keys. To you, my friend, my wingman, my main man, I'd like to introduce to you Dr. Paul Thompson. Hey, Paul.
Good morning, Mr. Drew. Ladies and gentlemen, you've just heard from the one and only Drew Brown, Dark Gable, the American dream. He's the man, the myth, the legend. He's the pilot's pilot, the role model's role model, and most importantly, his royal fullness. Thank you for listening to the podcast, looking at the podcast. And if you could, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button. We would appreciate it. I'm doing very good this morning, Mr. Drew. How are you?
I'm doing great. You ready to start this show?
I'm ready.
All right, well, check this out. Man, do you see what's happening in Afghanistan? This is freaking crazy, Paul. This is crazy. Why don't you tell me what you saw on a video?
Some rough stuff. And there's a video that keeps playing all the time. It's on a continuous loop. It's going to be the kind of defining thing, maybe the Afghan war or the U.S. pullout. But it's of a C-17 taxiing down either a runway or a taxiway. And there's hundreds of people running alongside of it, in front of it, and they're attached to it. And they're trying to get out of Afghanistan. And at one point, what they don't show, there's other videos of these Apache helicopters trying to clear people out of the way so the thing can even take off. I guess that happens. The airplane takes off. And there are two bodies that come from it. They held onto the wheels, and I don't know if they got chopped up in the wheel wells or whatever. And you can see them fall. And I'm going to estimate they fell from altitude of about 1,000 to 1,500 feet. That's my guess. You can see them, and it's not doctored. You can clearly see two of them just falling to their deaths. And that kind of thing happens every once in a while. People desperate to leave countries, and they'll jump into the wheel well of an airplane, the nose gear, and they'll come up with the gear, somehow not get crushed, or they do get crushed. And when they get to the destination after many hours, they lower the landing gear, usually a body falls out. That happened on a British Airways flight not that long ago, coming from.
Yeah, because it's also freezing.
It's freezing. Yeah, it's like 50 below zero for, X number of hours. So the gear comes down, enough to hold on to, and a big block of ice in the form of a human being comes down. Well, these guys they lasted probably about 40 seconds and they collapsed to deaths. So Afghanistan's a mess. They're trying to get all the U.S. personnel out. It's going to be dicey. If they support the mission, if the Taliban hold off, then they can keep the airport open. But there's just one way in and one way out. That airport, that's it. A high altitude airport. Afghanistan is landlocked. You can't, one difference between Afghanistan and the evacuation to Vietnam is right on the water. Part of it's on the water. And you had the U.S. Navy.
That's us. That's us.
That's us. Yeah, you get to the U.S. Navy. So everybody went on ships. Everyone on ships. Here, there's no ships nearby. Were you going to cut across Iran or Pakistan? It's just desert and mountains. It's rough.
You know why they're leaving, Paul? Do you really want to know why they're leaving? Anybody who can't understand why these people would be desperate enough to kill themselves to get out of this country, I wouldn't be surprised if it were women, Paul. Let me read you what the Taliban, let's get this straight. Let's start understanding where we are really at when you understand the news and you understand these stories and stop blaming people, because this has happened throughout all these presidents, okay? So let's get away from that one. This is the Taliban. The Taliban has banished women from the workforce. They've closed schools to girls and women and expelled women from all universities. They have prohibited women from leaving their homes unless accompanied by a close male relative, ordered the publicly visible windows of women's houses painted black, and forced women to wear burqas, which completely shrouds the body, leaving only a small mesh covering the opening of their face so they can see. Prohibited women and girls from being examined by male physicians, while at the same time prohibiting female doctors and nurses from working. Do you understand? These are the rules that are happening now in Afghanistan because the Taliban has taken over. And let's not forget that we have negotiated as a country with these idiots, okay? These people have abused women for centuries. And for some reason, we're turning our head. But guess what? If you do break one of those rules, let me finish reading. Because this is the reality for women and girls of the Taliban. A woman who defies a Taliban order by running a home for schools, it was killed in front of her family and friends. A woman caught trying to flee Afghanistan with a man not related to her was stoned to death for adultery. An elderly woman was brutally beaten with a metal cable until her leg was broken because her ankle was accidentally showing from her burqa. Women and girls died of curable ailments because male doctors were not allowed to treat them. And last but not least, 2 women accused of prostitution were publicly hung. This is what America went in there for, and this is what we failed to do. So the Taliban has taken over. So that's the way that's happening. And when you're talking about the Taliban, you're talking different peoples, we have to get out of our counties. We got to get out of our cities, our states, so we realize there's a world out there. And guess what else, Paul? There's a population shift. The white demographics are getting lower and lower every year. I just read the census. Mixed population is rising. The white population, this is by census and by people checking the box, the white population is lowering. Now, I'm not part of that because when I check a box, I check other, and when they ask me for my race, I write in human. So that's where I'm at with the census. But there's a big shift in this country. And Republicans, there's 2 parties, and I'm just reading facts. The Republican Party is diminishing, and that's why they're actually changing the voting lines so they can get more of their districts. So population shift, Paul, we're starting to look different. One more thing about the population shift. Let me tell you something. I'm of what they stupidly call the mixed race marriage. My father's black, my mother's white. That's BS. My father's my father, my mother's my mother. And actually, when you combine different genes, you become stronger, not weaker. When you keep the same genetic line, you actually get weaker, as you can see in some of the kings and queens and people who kept the bloodline singular for centuries. So if you want to be strong, go find somebody who doesn't look like you, who doesn't think like you, and maybe you can meld your cultures and get somebody smarter and stronger, because one day color won't be the problem. Racism can stop today as soon as the Martians land, because all you'll be looking for is somebody with 2 eyes and a nose.
Well, I think you talk about the Martians. I think it depends on what the Martians look like and what kind of power they have. If they got no power. If they got no power and they look too different, they're in trouble. Actually, if the Taliban get a hold of them, they may be in trouble. Or if they land in Brooklyn, they may be in trouble. It all depends. Population shift. I saw that in the cities. I'd say in the mid '80s. I remember being on a layover one time in New York City in the '80s, downtown, 2nd Avenue, and a hotel that was formerly owned by the former president, actually. And that's the first time I was in a hotel in New York City ever. It was Why would I ever be there? I lived in New York. Anyway, I walked out on the street and it looked different than what I remember seeing going to a Macy's Day Parade when I was little, up on somebody's shoulders. And the people everybody looked different in New York. And I realized in 30 years, there's a whole lot of different folks here now. And that's happening more and more and more. Some people look at that report and get panicky. I don't think there's any reason to panic. There are different people all over the place. If you look at, who used to be here before the settlers, as they came in, there was a group of folks, and there are tens of millions who are no longer here. There are different people north of the border, south of the border, in the Western Pacific. They're moving. And through air travel and commerce, the world is a smaller place. So even if we're not physically, you and I are not physically in the same place, but we're talking live on camera. So people are closer together. And that caused a lot of consternation because there are a lot of folks who haven't been anywhere. Like I said, the last time I was on an operating table in a small Georgia hospital, in the basement of that place, it looked like the United Nations. There's folks from different places. So if that bothers you, you're in trouble. You're really in trouble. I realize also America is a big country. Most of the people live in are urban people now, but the country is physically big. So if you really want to get in the middle of somewhere, in the middle of nowhere, you can still do that for those who want to go and be by themselves.
Do you remember when we used to fly over Alaska and for almost, it seemed like hours, nothing but white, all America. And I used to think if you wanted a really good prison, you didn't need fences or gates or bars. All you needed to do was put them out there with a heat source because nobody would leave.
Yeah. You could go up to the Yukon. There's nobody there. In the middle of New Mexico, there's nobody there.
I know.
There's most of the earth is barren.
Do you know you could still find land for free if you settle there?
I've heard that. But where we want to be, like water would be nice.
They don't guarantee water. So listen to this, Paul. I truly believe this. It came to me today that you and I are way different than our parents. This is the new funky 60s. I'm 66 now. I didn't start learning anything until I was 60. I think if I do leave my grandchildren anything, they won't be able to get it until they're 60. Because I truly believe sometimes you don't understand until you get older and have experienced life more. So I think the new 60s, we're different than our parents. I mean, I'm looking at all my family who I grew up with. They're not 60s like I knew that. My grandmother, I thought, was 60 out on the sidewalk in Brighton Beach on a chair, yentering with all the women. We're not like that. We're Frankie Beverly. We're Led Zeppelin, Jimi Hendrix, and most Parliament Funkadelic. And most importantly, we're the James Brown era. We're funky, we're fresh. So I want them to know you and I a little bit more. And so you didn't know I was going to do this. So we're going to play this game. I played this with my family all the time. It's called the Deserted Island Game. So, Paul, make believe you were on a deserted island. You had all the necessities in life, but you were only allowed 5 musical groups to have on your musical player. You could have all their music, but only 5 groups. So to learn more about Paul Thompson, what would those 5 groups be? You can have their whole entire music collection, but that's all you'll be able to listen to.
Okay, 5 groups. Well, first of all, you say you're 66 and you don't look a day over 65 3/4. That makes you feel good.
You were so funny. Is this a comedy show now?
It's a joke. It's a joke. Don't be sensitive. Okay, the main joke. Who would I take? I would take Earth, Wind, and Fire would be good. I would take the OJs, Sly and the Family Stone, Prince. I get one more.
Katrina will love you for that.
Prince. Yeah, he's eligible. Timeless. I would take one more. How about half of the Temptations and half of the Four Tops? That'd be fun.
You can have it.
Okay.
You can have it.
That's a good start.
Judges said you can have it.
Okay.
My 5, and I know I'm going to leave out somebody. 1st, Jimi Hendrix. 2, James Brown. Okay. 3, Parliament Funkadelic. 4, Tower of Power. And 5, can I have, since I made a deal for you, can I have the cameo, the bar case, and confunction, please,
That's
as
a
a
lot.
triple threat?
Okay. We'll give it a third of each, and that would work.
You
Yes,
know,
you may.
thank you very much. Well, now you know us a little bit more. And this is my theory about 60-year-olds. I think the people who have had a good life and were grateful for the things they had when they reach 60, they turn into more fulfilling, grateful, kind, caring people. I think people's lives who have sucked up until 60, they turn into miserable, blame everybody else kind of people. And I think that's where you're going to see the difference right there. You know, some people, I want to, you and I, we want to live for a long time because we have a good life. Talking about living for a long time, there was just a study about metabolism. It was said that the metabolism used to get lower and lower as you got older and older. And they just found out that it does lower, but just until 20, and then it stays that way until that magical number of 60. Dr. Paul, you're one of the healthiest guys I know. You know, I'm going for 100. You're probably going for 101. You'll probably get there. Tell me about metabolism. Teach us something.
I saw that study. I was surprised. I'd always heard that your metabolism slows down every 10 years, but I guess that's not the case. So people are getting heavier as they get older. Maybe they're eating more junk as they get older, and they're laying around, not doing anything, not physically fit. So I see some folks that they're like gigantic. They're bigger than wrestlers. They're bigger than football players. They're like a tight end and a wide receiver together, and they're at the checkout line. The stomach is gigantic, and I'd have been dead years ago.
In the grocery store for those now electric carts, and I think I've seen some with dualies now because they're getting heavier and heavier sitting on those things. Some people can't even fit on them. But go ahead, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, that's amazing. Those carts, and that's a staple at most Walmarts. And people have an injury. You're injured, you're hurt. I've been hurt. I understand that. I'm not making fun of anybody that's got an affliction. But
no, we're talking about donuts.
If it's self-induced, that's a different deal. You got to take care of yourself. Here's a little
your metabolism is slow. That's why they're 300 pounds, 200 pounds, 100 pounds overweight, and will get heart attacks and strokes and die early.
Well, they're eating a lot of junk. Here's something they can do. Everybody can do. It's real simple. Maybe you can't do it all, but do some. I did some this morning. Take a glass of warm water, room temperature warm water, put a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, maybe a teaspoon of honey, chop up a little handful of garlic, also mix in a little bit of cayenne pepper, and drink it on an empty stomach. If you can, you should be able to do that. That can help you. It's helped me already. It really will help you. That'll boost things up. It's simple. Garlic and ginger. Garlic and ginger are two of the healthiest things you can have. You can make it into a tea. It costs nothing. Chop up some garlic every day. Try it for a week, maybe a couple weeks. It won't stink your breath that much. And if you want to neutralize the garlic, something you can do is actually chew on parsley. Parsley will neutralize garlic. Also, one of the healthiest things you can put in your body. Try to do some of that in the morning and wash it down with some water. That's all you can remember. Chop up some garlic, chop up a little parsley, wash it down with a glass of water. That's all you can remember. That'll help you. That'll help everybody, even diabetics. Diabetics may have a hard time with the honey and the other thing. But yeah, speed up your metabolism. Keep moving. Do something.
Yeah, you said water, which is one of the most important liquids you can have. And I, myself, I don't drink anything but water or seltzer now because that's what it makes common sense. That's what my body's made up of. And because I'm Jewish, I think it is made up some seltzer, but water, my body's made up of water, and that's what I take. And I used to carry around this big gallon jug with little motivational signs on it. I gave everybody one for Christmas too, trying to drink a gallon of water a day. Mm-hmm. And then my doctor, my wise son, actually told me that you can drink too much water, that the liver and the kidneys can only take so much. Correct. And Paul, talking about my son, let me share a blessing with the world. My son is getting married to a wonderful, beautiful woman here at my house in a couple of months. And I couldn't be happier and I couldn't be more blessed. And I just wanted to share that with everybody, and especially you, Paul, because you're my wingman. We say wingmen are watching my back. Paul, you always have my back. And every time we talk, I know that more and more. I know it so much that my iPhone now, because we talk so much, is not working so well anymore. And then I found out why.
Why?
You want to know why?
Yeah, what happened?
The new iPhone 13 is about to come out. And one of the best words I ever learned was planned obsolescence. Planned obsolescence. That means they actually plan for iPhones, Galaxies, whatever phones you have, to start diminishing in quality after a certain time so you can buy another one. That's planned obsolescence. They make water hoses, they make tires that get flats and they get holes in them so you can buy others. Are you telling me we can send a man to the moon and yet we can't make a water hose that doesn't break anymore? So planned obsolescence. Are you going to get the new phone?
Probably not. I looked at it. I think it's going to have like a better camera and have something like that M1 chip, that faster chip. But that's going to be about it. I think you're going to be able to do some stuff with video that's a little better. Now I'm going to stick with what I got. I usually stay like 2 or 3 generations behind, and I'm just fine. I went from an iPhone 6 to an 11, which that was a nice jump. And but that's just a couple of years ago. They're fine. I'm okay. I think I'll pass.
I love Apple. Apple made me a lot of money because I bought stock in it a long time ago. So every time they switch, I'm happy when my phone starts blinking up. So I go buy another one. I can't wait to get the iPhone 13. And talking about iPhones, do you think you should have videoed that little plane mishap you were telling me about? Why don't you tell everybody else about it?
Okay, the plane mishap. Oh.
I think you said gas or something. Somebody was trying to get gas in the sky.
Oh! It's all of a sudden, yeah, that was a friend of mine, a good friend of mine that's no longer here, but he was learning about in-flight refueling, getting gas from another airplane, and it was at night. It's a lot more challenging. And
how do you actually do that?
Well, in the Navy system, there's something called a drogue, and the tanker airplane, whatever the tanker is, will extend this long hose. At the end of a hose is this big basket. It's a big basket. Think of a gigantic ice cream cone. And the receiving airplane has a probe that comes out, goes into this basket, and then it transfers fuel. And it's an interesting process. It takes a while. Well, this one night he was having some difficulty getting, and he's closing on this thing because you have to fly formation on this basket. You've got the plane in front of you, but you've got the basket, and sometimes it's moving around. So maybe if you're lucky, it's sitting there, and you have to move your airplane to get into it. Sometimes it's moving around. It's like a boxer. It's moving around. It's just the way it is, and you have to get it. Well, one time he hit it. He didn't hit it right. He lipped the thing. He didn't go in the center. He went on an edge. It came back and slapped, and it slapped so hard it broke the canopy, and it actually came into the cockpit. This is a great big metal thing. Truth is, he could have been decapitated very easily, very easily. But God was with him that night. That didn't happen. He kind of pulled out. He separated. He had a shattered canopy. He couldn't talk to anybody. The noise was deafening. He separated, and he made it back to the field. He wasn't on the ship. He was still in training, and he made it back to the base, with a story to tell. I don't think he got in any major trouble.
Wow.
It was that was a life-changing event. It stayed with him forever. So I always thought about it. I never had anything like that. I'd have a few times when I kind of lip it, and it would slap against the airplane a couple times. It's hard enough. You think it broke? You broke something for sure. I mean, it's like 10,000 baseball bats slamming it, and you get back, and it's like nothing. It's a warplane. It's a warplane.
And when you're operational, not training like we used to do, you actually really need gas. It's not a joke. It's not like, guess what? I don't think I could do it tonight. The one thing, what I used to do, Paul, I would, as you get better and better at night, I'd be smoking, trying to get a formation on the tanker. Because, both of us were tankers and both of us needed gas. So we did both sides of that. So I'd be smoking, coming up on that tanker and come right up. That basket would come out and I would get right to it. And I don't know why, but my right hand that had the stick would try to push it in. But when you push with your right hand, the stick, the airplane goes down. You don't go forward with the stick. You go with your throttle. So anyway, that was my little thing that I used to do. You know about indicated airspeed? You know about IAS?
Yes, yeah. Indicated airspeed, or some people say it's always something. Indicated airspeed. Now, I'm not supposed to say it, but if you're aviation type, there's several different types of airspeed. Indicated, true, equivalent, ground speed. You really don't need to know a whole lot about it, but indicated is an indicator. In terms of it's always something, in life it's always something. Something's going wrong, something's messed up. My mother used to say when it comes to old people, old cars, and old houses, it's always something. She used to say that. And as I've gotten older, I've found that to be true. With myself personally, and I just got a car out of the shop last week, and I'll probably have to go back in again for the other caliper, which is hard to get. That's another story. It's always something or something to be. But that's a part of life. Don't get freaked out about it. If you got any kind of mechanical thing, it's probably going to wear out at some point, and it's going to require maintenance. So that's always something. It's always maintenance. So you got to maintain stuff.
Yeah, well, I took that IAS, that it's always something, and I've actually applied that to my life. I've used the acronym IAS. It's always something. Now, here's the cool thing. I don't think it really has anything to do with age. I think in life, it's always something. What I've done now is pre-program that into my head, knowing that it's going to always be something. So when it does happen, I'm not that surprised. What I used to do was get everything perfect and everything be rolling, and bam, something would happen. And I'd be upset that, damn, I can't believe it's always something. Now that I know it's always something, I'm not that surprised. But I have another category called SIIAS, which is self-induced, it's always something, which means when you're not paying attention to something that you're doing and you're the one, instead of the mechanical, like Paul said, breaking in your car because it's mechanical. No, you're the one who runs into the mailbox. You're the one who's not looking and breaks the vase off the table. That's self-induced. It's always something. Talking about the Navy, I have a wingman.
Who's that?
His name is Welchfair, Commander Welchfair.
Right.
One of the finest men that I've ever met in my life. And he made my second tour on the Nimitz one of the best things that's ever happened. Changing from a 6-man stateroom, Paul, to a commander stateroom, a 2-man stateroom is life-changing on an aircraft carrier that you're out there for 9 months. And Welchy let me room with him. So I had a 2-man stateroom.
Great.
Welchfair was the maintenance officer. He was particular. He was to the point. Everything was right with him. He was such a wonder to be around. With my crazy butt, he just used to think I was just off in a good way.
And
he was right. More strict Navy.
He's
and
right.
When I used to bend the rules or push a little bit this way or that way, he would get really upset, but he would take it all right. But I can't say enough about Welchfair and his wife, Yvonne, and they live right near you.
Yeah, right.
Wonderful children and grandchildren. And he's just a good man, and he made it easier. When you're black in the Navy and you're in a military squadron out at sea, it's not very easy all the time. And when you have somebody who watches your back, and that's what this show is about, watching other people's backs. He watched my back, and that, I won't ever forget that, Paul. That's what this whole show's about, trying to help others. That's why we have a website, www.wingmanshow.com. That's MEN, wingmanshow.com. You can get all of our shows. You can start writing. We're going to have a newsletter soon. A lot of things are happening, huh, Paul?
Yes. Please remember to always like, share, and subscribe. Helps us with the algorithm, especially if you're watching on YouTube. They always say smash that like button. Yeah, don't smash anything. That'll mess up your computer. Why do they say that? Just click the thing. Just click a thumbs up. We'd appreciate it. Don't smash anything. But yeah, pass this around to other people. A lot of things you'll look at. I look at a lot of YouTube stuff personally, and quite a few things are really, really negative. Some of it, they get a little clickbait. They get the little captions to get you to click on it. But it's typically, what people are not doing, how bad they are, how awful things are, and maybe they tell some jokes and little snide remarks. But, we're trying to give you some good stuff. At the end, Mr. Drew's probably going to give you a little public service announcement. I gave you a tip on what you can drink in the morning to help you lose weight, get your metabolism going, get your system going, get a lot of crap out of your system. Instead of giving you crap, I'm telling you how to get crap out of your system. Yeah, do that. Take care of yourself.
Announcement, a public service announcement. All you motherfuckers who don't take your vaccine, you're killing other people. I said motherfucker. THUCKER. That's Tango, Hotel, Uniform, Charlie, Kilo, Echo, Romeo, motherfucker. I'm tired of you crazy people hurting others. Get your motherfucking vaccine. Thank you very much. Wingman Show.
Yes. Now, where else are you going to hear that? Who else on YouTube has something on?
Paul, thanks for doing the show.
Thanks for having me on. And ladies and gentlemen, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And if you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button. We'd appreciate it.
100%. We hope you enjoyed our show. We truly thank you for your time. It's our most valuable commodity. So we're still floating like butterflies and stinging like bees. Rumble, you badass jet pilots, rumble. Dr. Paul Thompson, Drew Brown, we both say goodbye. See you guys later.
All right. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.